Hello, welcome to the most dangerous podcast. How are you this week, James? You good?
I'm all right, yeah, not too bad. We're recording early this week, so
We
not
are,
really
yes.
done much. I went to my daughter's going to high school next year,
Mm-hmm.
so I went to an open evening at a school that she's going to go to
Yeah.
yesterday, and they did all the spiel, and like the head teacher's like kind of like full on Irish, couldn't really understand what he was saying, but then like my daughter told me that he's like a Liverpool fan,
Right.
and you'll know that Liverpool played AC Milan last night in the Champions League. So, like, he was doing all the talk and all the rest of it, and then we all
Yeah.
left. And I seen him out in the corridor, and I went up to him. I went, "Sir," just because he's a teacher. I don't know why. So, why'd you do this on a Champions League night? He's like, "Oh, I know. I'm sorry about that. I'll do it on
Forgot about
Thursday next time." That's all done. Just been working, really.
Yeah.
It's like I say, we're recording early, aren't we?
High school open evenings are amazing because I've got two, daughter and a stepdaughter in high school now, and we did a couple of high schools for each one, and they make high school look fucking amazing. There were like all these science experiments and like the canteen food was really good. It was food that they obviously get an outside caterer to bring in for the night. But it's not the shit the kids get when they start school. You know, it was good fun.
Yeah, no, we didn't get any food, but they had like a line of kids, like year sevens,
Yeah,
who'd gone there for the night, and they were like, "Oh," he went round. He's like, "What do you find? I know you've only been here 2 weeks, but what do you find really good about the school?" And like one of them was like, "Oh, the food, the canteen's mint."
yeah.
He's like, "No, you're not supposed to say that."
Didn't Jamie Oliver like fuck it for everyone? Because we used to get like pizza, chips, and gravy and stuff like that, and then he turned up and they're getting like tofu curry and stuff.
Yeah, I think that's kind of it was like the turkey twistlers, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think they're starting to make a bit of a comeback. Given up on healthy kids, haven't they?
Pizza rolls, you remember them?
Oh, they were amazing.
They were so good. I was thinking about them the other day. I was explaining them to my daughter.
There's I think it's in America. There's a kind of version of them that's made a comeback.
Yeah,
I can't get them here because I do once in a blue moon. I Google them.
Yeah, I know. I did. I was like, I wonder if you can get off Amazon, like off some obscure place. But yeah, then if you ship them in, they're like 25 quid. I'm not doing that.
You could swallow a piece, and it would be right down your stomach and still attached to the piece in your hand by like a string of cheese.
Yeah,
remember that cheese was
out.
dead stringy. Yeah,
it's dead satisfying.
Oh, this podcast's getting better and better. So I got a dog.
Yeah, you showed me.
Yeah, I moaned about the dog that I didn't get and got pissed off, so I just went and bought a puppy.
I'll just get a dog.
Yeah.
So how many animals is that in the house now?
Only 4.
Oh, right. That's not too bad.
I mean, we've got about 14, but 10 of them are buried in the garden. So,
pet cemetery, like Stephen King's house.
Someone will buy this house and try and landscape it. There'll be all these fucking skulls and stuff. But yeah, so we got a little cockapoo, like I said last week. I'm not going to bore everyone about it. She's called Bonnie and she's lovely, and I'm happy.
Good, yeah. I want a dog. I do want a dog. I've never had a dog in my life. Though. That's what worries me, because I think you need to be, because you've had dogs all your life, haven't you? So
yeah.
I think it's a big commitment, and you think, oh yeah, I'd love a dog, and then the sort of year goes on, it comes to you going on holiday, and you think, shit, I've got a dog. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe one day.
They're not. I mean, they're easy pleased. You take them a walk at night and you feed them and you pet them, and that's kind of it. And you have to pick up their shit.
That's the thing. That puts me off.
Yeah, but you just get used to these things. But the companionship you get from them, it's like, family have all got moans and gripes and stuff like that. You just get this unconditional love off your dog. You come in, no matter how shit a day you've had, they jump up on your knee and they're happy to see you.
Yeah, no, in my luck, I'll probably get a shit one. I've got a cat, and that's shit. My cat's the shittest cat in the world. Like, it doesn't do anything. Won't even go outside. It just refuses to go outside.
Yeah.
It sleeps all day. Like, I'm up in 6:30 in the morning, getting myself ready to work, and the cat's just lay on the carpet sleeping. And I'm sure it looks up at me. It looks at me and goes, and then I get back from work and it's laying exactly the same place. I'm like, you fucking slag.
Hasn't moved. Well, we went up to Glasgow, as I said last week, and my auntie inherited this ginger cat, and it was an old guy. The cat's called the Wee Dog, because the guy that had it he had like dementia, and his family got him this cat, and he kept thinking it was a little dog.
Oh,
So he
yeah.
said, "Oh, where's the wee dog? Where's the wee dog?" So the cat my auntie's had for 3 years now is still called the wee dog.
Oh,
It's not got a name, but he fed it on kitten food for like 3 years, and it's massive, big,
oh,
huge,
right.
big fat cat. And I thought it was a loaf of bread when I saw it on the floor.
Is that what the kitten food does then? Does it? It just like it's got loads of like
It's
stuff in it
just,
that builds them up.
yeah, it's got loads of like extra protein and stuff like that. And
I think my cat could do with beefing up, to be honest.
yeah,
Let's get a bit of meat behind it so it can go outside and start beating the other cats up rather than loafing around the house all day.
and it's when you get like when they get old, you get them senior food, and it's got even less in it because they do less, so they don't need
Yeah,
as much shit really.
my cat's going to live for about 100 years because it does fuck all. Literally nothing.
Yeah.
Annoys me. I know that's what cats do, but this is another level of nothing. Anyway,
Yeah, so
we
yeah,
digress. What are you doing today then, Fraser?
what am I doing today? I'm doing a bit of a dark one because we've had, I think mine was a bit comical, King Farouk, and yours, well, it wasn't comical, but it was entertaining, a bit Darth Vader. So I thought let's bring everyone down a bit. Let's
That's
go
what
look
we
for
like to do.
a real shithead here, So this week, James, I'm doing Josef Mengele.
Okay, I've never heard of this guy.
No, have you heard of Adolf Hitler?
Can't say I have. Doesn't ring a bell.
His mate, was it Himmler? What was his name?
Yeah.
Henrik Himmler or something.
Something like that. It was his best man on him.
Yeah, he's like a right-hand man.
Yeah.
Well, this guy's kind of up there with those two guys as one of the world's biggest shitheads. And Josef Mengele was one of the guys in charge of Auschwitz.
Oh, a Nazi fuck. Right, okay.
Yeah, it's one of these guys. So that's what we're going to be doing this week.
All right, in charge of Auschwitz. So this is definitely a downward turn, isn't it?
Downward turn,
God.
yes, yeah.
Great.
Definitely. Okay, James, so we're going to be talking about Josef Mengele, as we said.
Yes.
So tonight we're going to be focusing on a man whose name has become synonymous with cruelty and evil. The so-called Angel of Death, he was known as.
Really?
Mengele, as we'd already mentioned, was a Nazi doctor at Auschwitz, where he conducted horrific experiments on prisoners, earning him a place in history as one of the most sadistic figures of World War II.
See, Angel of Death. That's pretty. Sounds pretty cool, though, doesn't it?
Yeah,
That's like rock and roll. Like
it is,
Angel
isn't
of
it?
Death. Yeah. But
It wasn't Ozzy Osbourne the Angel of Death or something like that?
it was like the Prince of Darkness.
Prince of Darkness, that was it. That's different.
Angel of Death. It's a similar sort of vein, though, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, this guy wasn't cool.
No.
So Josef Mengele was born in 1911 in Günzburg, Germany, into a wealthy industrialist family. And I've looked into this. He actually had like really nice parents, plenty of money, big family business, loads of money. He didn't really have any reason to be involved in what he got into. He studied philosophy in Munich and later medicine and anthropology, earning a PhD. Mengele joined the Nazi Party in 1937 and the SS a year later. His early academic work focused on genetics and heredity, a fascination that would later transform into a grotesque obsession with racial purity. Because that's what the Nazis were all about, wasn't it? It was trying to make this perfect race.
Yeah, apparently so. I mean, I guess. I don't know like a lot about that. I mean, I've heard sort of stories and rumours and things like that about this sort of master race they were trying to create. But from what I understand, it was kind of more about eradicating the Jews.
Yeah.
Maybe that was like an afterthought. Once they've done that, we'll do this.
I've always thought it was a bit weird that they wanted these tall, blonde, blue-eyed Germans, and the leader was a little Austrian guy with brown hair.
That's what I mean, yeah. So
it seems a bit weird, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So by 1943, Mengele was stationed at Auschwitz, the largest of the Nazi concentration extermination camps. Here, his warped scientific interest met a population of prisoners who were treated as nothing more than expendable human test subjects. Now, to sort of go into that a little bit more, basically he was involved in the war, but with his obviously his medical side, he was out in the front line, but as one of the sort of medic type people.
Yeah.
But he got injured in the war, and he got transferred to Auschwitz because it was a job where he didn't have to be on the front line, but he had this medical knowledge.
Yeah.
And he was initially in Auschwitz. They had to have medical people to actually look after the prisoners. But what I believe is, if he needed anything more than a plaster, it was just gas them, rid of them, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Because they're not going to start patching you up in a death camp, are they?
What's the point? What's the point in wasting the resources?
That's it. And quite quickly, obviously, he started to get involved in what else can we do with these people? We've got all these people here. What can we do with them? There's no point in just gassing them all. We can do some experiments. So moving on. So upon arrival at Auschwitz, Mengele was put in charge of medical duties, but quickly gained a notorious reputation. His primary task was to perform the selections, deciding who among the new arrivals would live and who would die. As the prisoners stepped off the trains, he would stand, often smiling, as he casually flicked his hand to the left or the right. To the right meant forced labour, and to the left, death in the gas chambers.
I don't think you need like a medical degree to do that.
No,
it's not
just
really
selection, wasn't it?
Just whether you like the look of someone or whatnot.
That's it.
But
yeah. They say, you can imagine. I mean, we've seen like the movies like Indiana Jones, like, the big Nazi guys with the uniform, and you can imagine all these people come off the train, don't even know what's going on. He's just standing there going, that way, no, you that way, with a big smile on his face, happy as can be. No, that way, gas them, and keep him. And
yeah, it's just terrifying.
Apparently, children were gassed because there were no use to them. The mothers of those children were gassed because they were so distraught that their children had been killed that they were no use to them. Pregnant women were gassed because there was no point in them because they were having a baby. Anyone that was over probably about 40 years old, they were like, right, they're too old, no use to us, gassed. And he
It's
just
awful,
basically
yeah.
stood selecting them. Yeah. So yes, it was cruelty knew no bounds. It wasn't just his decisions that terrified the inmates, but the ease and detachment with which he made them. Many survivors described Mengele as calm, even pleasant at times. He could be charming, especially around children, before condemning them to unimaginable horrors.
See, they're the worst psychos, aren't they? If you look at serial killers and stuff like that, like they do this like crazy mad shit, chop people up, then just go to work the next day, like nothing's happened. Like, hey, morning.
Who was famous for that? Was it Ted Bundy? They were like, everyone that met him was like, even after they knew what he'd done, well, he was a lovely guy.
Yeah, dead charming. Nice to meet him, yeah.
And it was almost like he didn't believe he'd done it. It was like, I never did that. No,
yeah.
I'm lovely, I'm Ted Bundy, I'm a nice guy.
That's pure psychopath, isn't it?
No,
just being able to switch it on and off. And
it's almost like a split personality, isn't it? They become this other beast, do the thing, and then they're back to the normal guy.
Yeah, so...
So basically, his main atrocities were his medical experiments. So yeah, Mengele's medical experiments truly highlighted the depth of his inhumanity. His experiments were varied, extensive, and utterly grotesque, often conducted without any anesthesia, leading to excruciating pain, permanent damage, or death for his victims. So let's have a look at some of them. A lot of people that do know of him, they always talk about the twins experiments. He was obsessed with twins.
Okay, I think I might have heard something about this, or read something somewhere.
Yeah, you'll find like the Nazi twin experiments and stuff on the internet, and this was this guy. It was his idea.
Yeah, and like, wasn't he into like Siamese twins and stuff like that? And he was kind of like...
He kind of like reverse engineered them. And I was going to talk about this later, but I read a story where he had a woman with two young twins. You know what I mean? Young twins. And I haven't found out the age of them because probably people don't know the age of them because they were just brought into the death camp. But they estimate sort of 5-6-year-old. And what he did is he took them into the theatre as twins, and they emerged with their backs sewn together and their blood vessels connected. So he made conjoined twins out of them.
Yeah.
just to see what happened. And they lived for a period of time in excruciating pain, crying day and night. And their mother, who was still alive, managed to basically get hold of a load of morphine and put them out of their misery before she was then executed.
Sacrificed them. Oh my God, that's horrendous.
So yeah, when you say he was into his conjoined twins, he wasn't into cutting them apart. He was into putting them back together again.
Yeah, I'm sure. I don't know if it's the same guy. He had this fascination with conjoined twins.
Yeah. Well, basically, he saw twins as the key to unlocking genetic secrets that could lead to racial perfection. Because again, we talk about there was this idea of this perfect race, this everyone's the same, tall, blonde, blue eyes, all these sort of rumors that you hear. Whether that was exactly what they were looking for, but he was obsessed with creating this perfect race.
But we know, like now, I suppose, sort of 80, however many years, 90 years on, that if you like do all that interbreeding and stuff, it just makes people really thick.
Oh yeah.
You know, like that's when like cousins marry and stuff. They're like, "Hello." What you'd happen is you get all these people looking the same, but they'd just be really stupid.
Well, that's it. I mean, obviously, I've just got a dog a couple of days ago, and with dogs, the best dogs are those scruffy little brown dogs that are just a Heinz 57.
Yeah. It's when it's all the interbreeding. It's like the royal family.
Yeah,
they all marry each other, and they're just all there going, "Hello, what do you do?"
Oh, got that big jaw. Weird. Anyway. So his experiments on twins were often torturous. Twins would be subject to injections of unknown substances, blood transfusions between the siblings, and surgeries, often involving the removal of limbs or organs, to then be transplanted into the other twin to see what would happen. And read a story, cut one twin's arms off and put them on another twin, like swapped their arms, basically.
It's just mad science, isn't it? It's just like it's like that episode you did on the other
Japanese one. Yeah.
Japanese one. I can't remember what it's called now. And it's just like it's like the Jurassic Park quote, isn't it? It's like you're so preoccupied as whether or not you didn't start to think whether you should. Thing. It's just like, I can just do this because we've got some disposable people.
Yeah.
So why the fuck? Why let's just cut their arms off and stick them on them people? It's just horrendous.
They actually say that sometimes people are like, right, okay, so let's say that works. You swapped one twin's arms with another. What have you learned from it?
Yeah.
Just wanted to see if I could do it. Just interested. One of his obsessions with twins was to see, he really thought that they were genetically identical. And that's why he'd do experiments on one, but keep the other twin as the control subject and then give them transfusions back and forward. But biologically, twins, for all they could look exactly the same. They could have completely different blood types, different personalities, different moles in different places. You know, they're not as identical as people really think they are. But yeah, so he messed about with twins, and some of the survivors have described how he'd often smile as he measured, cut, and probed them, seeming genuinely curious about the results.
Yeah, okay, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he might have done. I don't know.
I did.
Just if you got any like.
Yeah, I listened to. There was a lady and her sister did survive, and they said that basically, for the first week they had to go and stand in a room naked for hours, and he literally measured every inch of their bodies, and then he would inject them both with the same like viruses and stuff to see exactly if they both got better at the same time or if one dealt with it better than the other and stuff like that. And they said sometimes they were just injected with stuff and were straight into like agonizing pain.
And he was smiling as well. Like that's the worst thing, you know. Just like sounds like a pair of old grannies down the shot, and he was smiling as well, you know. Whilst he was doing it. No, sorry, I'm not taking anything.
He was made up about it.
No, it's horrendous. Yeah, I just like the and he was smiling. You bastard.
So he did experiments on dwarfs and disabled individuals, as we said. So he focused on individuals with physical abnormalities, especially dwarfs and disabled people. Repeating myself. They were often taken from the general population and subjected to equally cruel treatment. This is my new little dog. Bear with me 1 second. So many were injected with chemicals designed to sterilize them or alter their genetics, and others had limbs amputated or eyes removed in grotesque attempts to correct their deformities. Mengele had a twisted fascination with physical differences, believing that their study would advance his understanding of Aryan superiority. Chemical experiments. Mengele would inject chemicals directly into the eyes of his victims, often trying to change their colour. In one particularly infamous experiment, he attempted to create artificial blue eyes, a symbol of Nazi racial purity. The patients would writhe in agony as the chemicals burned, leaving them blind or dead.
Yeah.
So he was.
This is interesting because, they're allegedly trying to create this master race with blonde hair, blue eyes. So why are they trying to change people's eye colour? So we like you, we'll just pretend you've got blue eyes, shall we?
Well, yeah, it's like just putting a mask on someone, isn't it?
Yeah. So but I mean, if the idea was to create this master race, then why are they trying to change the eye colour of people? So
just breed people with blue eyes.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's for that reason, like we said, inbred isn't good. Or maybe it's for Hitler, change your eye, dye, bleach his hair.
Hitler goes off to Turkey, comes back 6 foot tall, blonde hair, blue eyes, new teeth.
Bleach.
Yeah. Did you ever read? There was a story, right? And it was one of these stories that you kind of hope it was true, but it wasn't in the Daily Mail. It was one of these stories reading the internet, and it was about a Chinese multi-billionaire or something, multi-millionaire, multi-billionaire. He meets and marries a beautiful woman. And they're together for a couple of years, and then she has her first child, and the child's got big sticky out ears and a big nose and stuff like that.
Right.
And then he finds out that she'd had loads of plastic surgery before he met her, and he actually sued her because he said, I married you and bred with you because I wanted good-looking children, but naturally you were ugly, and you didn't tell me that you were ugly, and then you made yourself look pretty.
Is that true?
Now I've got an ugly kid.
Right, I'm going to look into that because that's actually a side mission on the game Cyberpunk.
Is it?
Yeah. So you have to follow this woman around.
Yeah.
Because the husband's suspicious that she's having an affair and his kid doesn't look like him. So you follow her around, and what you find out is that she's going to a plastic surgeon to get sort of done up and stuff. Yeah. And the kid is his, but it doesn't look like him or her because she doesn't look like her. That story. Yeah. So that's actually a side quest in a PS5 game.
No way. Well, I wonder if one's inspired the other.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I don't know if the story's 100% true, but one could have inspired the other. But
did you ever see the guy that spent $50,000 trying to look like David Beckham?
Yeah.
He just didn't look anything like him. He just had a massive football head.
Yeah.
Similar with him and David Beckham, as David Beckham played football and he had a head the size of a football.
Yeah.
That was about it.
Yeah, you get some proper nutters out there, don't they? There's the one that tries to look like the Ken doll. He's got the big fat chin and all that. And
I think he's dead now.
Is he?
I think so.
How much of him's dead?
I saw something. I like Carol Vorderman.
This wasn't meant to be our laughing episode, man.
No, I know. It's terrible.
Go on.
But it's a similar sort of thing, and it's just these right wing pricks on social media, and it sort of rings true with the Ken guy. They were like, "Oh, when she's dead and they cremate her, she'll be burning for a week."
Black smoke, like a tire fire.
Everyone in the vicinity have to shut the window.
Oh, bloody hell. It's like that, though. It's like Michael Jackson, and they dig him up in 100 years. Most of them will still look the same.
Yeah. Imagine 1,000 years from now, and they discover his tomb,
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it'd be like in the museum, like he's been mummified, like Tutankhamun. Like, look at this guy.
He had all his lips were tattooed on and everything. He had a big rubber chin and all sorts. He was. Anyway.
Right. Anyway.
So something we talked about in the Japanese one, vivisections. So you remember vivisections were chopping people up alive.
Yeah, I tried to block that episode out of my mind, to be honest.
Yeah, I think a few people did.
Yeah, I'm probably going to block this one out of my mind as well. No offence.
Mengele frequently performed vivisections, cutting open live subjects to observe their internal organs. In some cases, these experiments were done on children who were fully conscious and screaming. Amputations of limbs were common, often performed without anesthesia. Mengele's experiments rarely had any scientific value. They were fueled by a combination of sadism and his racist ideology.
Fucking hell. Like, what's the point?
I know.
You know, like, he's just doing it for a buzz and smiling while he's doing it.
I was smiling. He was always smiling.
And, you know, it's got no medical value whatsoever. It's just like... And like it's just like he's just been sort of shoehorned into that role as well because he was shit at war.
Yeah.
So, but that he was mates with the Nazis.
Yeah.
So they went, oh no, just do that. You know, it's like someone at work who's been there like too long to get rid of because you can't because they turn up on time and do the job, but they're so shit that you just kind of go, right, well, you just sit in that room, and just don't say anything. And then we'll come back in about 10 years when you're ready to retire.
We had a guy that worked with us like that. Let's call him Dave. He wasn't called Dave, but he used to go, if it was like a dead, like monotonous shit job, oh, that's a Dave job, that. Go and get Dave to do it. Dave, go
not
and
doing anything wrong.
100 lengths of beading, you know.
Yeah, like not doing anything wrong. So you can't like justify going, oh, sorry, you know, we're going to have to let you go. Because they sit up on time and they do a job. But like I say, you just kind of go, just give him the shit jobs because if he'll only fuck that one up.
My mum used to call him a chocolate fire guard.
This is what this guy sounds like.
So he did. Right. Yeah, so he also did experiments on pregnant women. Pregnant women were a focus of Mengele's perverted studies. He would experiment with forced abortions or inject fetuses with various substances to see how they would react. These procedures often ended up with both mother and child dying in horrific pain.
No shit. What a dickhead.
Yeah. So the coldness in which Mengele conducted these experiments is one of the most chilling aspects of his character. He was a doctor sworn to protect human life, but instead he took pleasure in the suffering of his victims.
I don't even believe he was a doctor.
Yeah.
No, I'm not having it. I think this is just propaganda. He's a doctor. Come in here.
Well, I mean, he had a PhD, he studied and got that, but don't you swear an oath as a doctor?
The Hippocratic Oath.
Yeah. I remember there was a thing where in California, the death penalty was allowed. That was a thing. But the death penalty could only be by lethal injection. And lethal injection in California could only be performed by a doctor. But because of a doctor's oath, the doctor couldn't give the lethal injection.
Right, yeah.
So they couldn't do the death penalty. It was like this circle that just kept going round. Well, it's legal. It's got to be performed by a doctor, but a doctor can't do it. So it's not legal, but it is legal. But
Catch-22, yeah. So it doesn't work, does it, basically?
No.
Law's defunct. Did you see the guy that, I think it might have been Texas, electric chair? They executed him, turned it all off, but then he came back to life, right? And then after that, he sued like the prison, saying that, well, I died, so
yeah, he's done his sentence.
You got to release me now, yeah. My sentence was the death penalty. I died being electrocuted, but came back to life, so I've done it now.
He's got a point. I wouldn't be happy if he'd murdered someone I know, but he's actually got a point. He's done his sentence, done his time.
Yeah, he's the death penalty. You know,
electricity will be passed through your body until you're dead. Now he's dead. Oh, he's come back to life. Yeah. You don't get another go.
That's it.
He's done it.
You got it wrong. You got to sit down again. Is that? I don't actually know what happened, but
No, need to look into that. So, perhaps the most disturbing aspect of Mengele's personality was his duplicity. Survivors recall how he would present himself as almost paternal, particularly with children. He would bring them candy, give them kind words, and pretend to care for their well-being. And I've read in another place they used to call him Uncle Joseph. Right, these are the little kids in the place. The children starved for any kindness would flock to him. But is it facade?
Facade, I think.
I've done this before. But this facade of warmth was just a prelude to cruelty. After gaining their trust, Mengele would coldly send them to the gas chambers or use them in his deadly experiments.
What an up.
I know. The duality, a man who could be charming, almost friendly, whilst harbouring such malevolence, made him particularly terrifying. He didn't just take life, he played with it, toying with people's emotions and exploiting their hope, only to betray them in the end. So, yeah, bit of a twat. So after the war, this is where you hope that the war ends and he's brought to justice.
He went to Argentina with all the other Nazis and was never seen or heard of again. Is that
pretty much that? But he was seen again. He didn't completely disappear. So after the fall of the Third Reich in 1945, Mengele fled Auschwitz, evading capture. Initially, he was captured by the Allied forces, but was released because he didn't realise the magnitude of his crimes.
Even so, though, you know, like, it doesn't matter. He's a Nazi, like.
I know.
It doesn't matter, like.
You'd keep him for a bit, just see if anything turned up, you know?
It's like, war crimes and stuff, you didn't do. You were all right, you.
But I'm pretty sure Auschwitz wasn't discovered until obviously after the war had ended. But I'm sure
I was going to mention this actually. Yeah. So, have you ever watched Band of Brothers?
Yeah. When they find that camp,
there's an episode in that because I didn't realise before seeing that because I thought it was common knowledge.
Wasn't that Belsen that they find in that? That was like
I can't remember.
Camp. Yeah.
It was years ago I watched it, but I thought before watching that that it was common knowledge that the Allied forces knew that there was these concentration camps and that the Jews were being not just Jews but travellers and things like that, and certain demographic of people were being sent there, and I thought the Allied forces knew this, and one of the objectives of the war was to close down these camps.
Yeah,
and it was only after watching Band of Brothers that when they come across it and they're like, "What's this? What's this?" That I realised they didn't.
No,
there was no knowledge of this happening until much later on in the war effort. I don't think it was afterwards, but I think it was certainly towards in the mid 40s anyway that this was taking place.
Well, what I've heard is that when they actually found Auschwitz, a lot of the people had actually starved to death because it had just been abandoned.
And it was in the middle of nowhere,
Yeah. So at the point where they captured him, I was just a doctor working for the Nazis. You know, it might have been another year after that they actually went, God, look what they did in this place, you know.
It's like Monty Python, you know, Life of Brian, where he's like, crucifixion? No, I'm here to go on holiday. Oh, on your way, mate.
Yeah. Yeah, I was a doctor. After
done anything wrong. All right, on the boat, off you go. Nice one.
So after that, Mengele lived under a series of false identities, first hiding in Germany and then escaping to South America, of course. He lived in Argentina, Paraguay, and eventually Brazil, all the while avoiding capture. He worked as a farmhand at first, later enjoying a relatively comfortable life thanks to family money, because remember his parents were loaded.
Yeah.
And
I'm surprised they didn't freeze those assets though.
Yeah, you wouldn't be proud, would you? And obviously networks of former Nazis and sympathizers who helped them stay hidden. There's all those rumors that Hitler got down there, wasn't there? But
apparently so, yeah. There's I can't remember the name of the show now, but it's quite interesting. It's like a real life Indiana Jones. It's one of those like it's on Discovery, so it's proper like over exaggerated kind of daft. But it is quite good because he does sort of Indiana Jones things. And he goes to Argentina and there's this mystery mansion, sort of the local people and local villages and towns. There's rumours that that's where Nazis were staying and stuff after the war. So he manages, but nobody's allowed there.
Right.
And he manages to go over there somehow, gets a permit, and they do a bit of digging around, and they find like Nazi coins and stuff on the property in the vicinity. So yeah, there's quite, I would say, substantial evidence that quite a number of Nazis went over to Argentina. And yeah, you're right. There is a rumor that Hitler survived the war.
Yeah.
And was one of them. Reason being is because it was actually Stalin and the Russian forces that infiltrated Berlin.
Yeah.
And they apparently found Hitler's body, because obviously he killed himself and his wife in
his bunker, wasn't it?
His bunker. So it was Stalin and the Russian forces that found his body, but they refused to release his body to the Allied forces, so nobody actually ever saw dead Hitler. So yeah,
it could have been, tell everyone, you found me dead.
Yeah, and Russia being Russia, I mean, perhaps aren't the most. I think they're very skeptical of the West anyway. So perhaps they were like, well, no, we don't want to hand him over alive. Maybe we'll just say he was dead and we'll get rid of him. Or send him over to South America. Who knows? Yeah. Just a conspiracy theory. I mean, he'd be long gone now anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But
yeah, maybe Hitler will say, "I'll tell you where all my treasure is if you get me to South Africa," because I'm sure he had some gold.
All that artwork that he nabbed.
Yes,
which some of it's still being found to this day.
Is it?
Yeah.
You've seen the pictures of Michelangelo's David, where they like encased it in like a tomb of bricks in case it got damaged during the war.
Oh, really? That's a good idea.
They actually proper built like a brick wall and then like a dome over the top of it in case it got damaged.
But then London got bombed to shit. So let's make sure this sculpture's fine. But fuck them peasants over there.
Yeah, 300,000 people got bombed, but Michelangelo's David's all right.
Yeah,
it's fine. Where was I?
But then, like saying that as well. Sorry to go on.
Right.
And my partner, she's doing a history masters at the moment, and one of her modules was about the Second World War, and it was quite interesting because you've got to remember there's two sides to every story as well. I'm not condoning this guy whatsoever. All I'm doing is saying that, okay, well, there was the Blitz. Our side of the story, London got bombed to shit. We had the Blitz, got flattened, and not to mention the bombs in the northwest, Liverpool, Manchester, etc., and Coventry, all over Britain. But Germany got bombed to shit as well.
Yeah.
It wasn't just one-sided. The Allied forces, Britain and the US and everyone else, flattened Germany.
Oh yeah.
It's not. You forget about that side of things. And there's all this. It's almost like I say, the history's written by the victors, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah. But you've got to remember that apart from like there's Josef Mengele and there was Hitler and Himmler and all that, but 99.9% of the Germans that died in the war were just fathers, brothers, sons sent to war by their leaders that probably had no beef with the British, they weren't Nazis, they were just their soldiers fighting.
Yeah, dying. Similar to our side. That's the thing, isn't it? Like, it's difficult to talk about because obviously you get fuckheads like this guy who are just insane, and Hitler and all that, and they've got this ideology which is clearly good for nothing and should be resigned to the dustbin of history. But then, of course, there's real stories as well where, like you say, there's literally children, going to war to fight for their country on both sides, and it's just difficult to.
I know.
Yeah, so it's easy to sit here and go, oh, the war was terrible, the Nazis were bad, and the British were great, but if you've grown up about it, not all German fighters were Nazis.
Yeah. No, they weren't. Very few of them were Nazis.
Yeah, they just were told what to do and said, okay, well, this is my country, and people are coming over trying to take my country away. So, which is what the British did. So, it's difficult to have a balanced view, I think, particularly when you kind of focus on fuckheads like this guy.
Yes. Another one that's always puzzled me is in Germany and Russia. If you buy a copy of Medal of Honor or Call of Duty for your PlayStation, do you play as the British and the Americans? Or do they have a version where you're, or does it just not sell over there?
I think you do, yeah. I think it's just a game, innit?
Yeah.
It's like they don't bespoke it for particular nations. It's I don't know, is it Activision, I think, create that game? So I can't see them making different versions for different territories.
No. If Activision are listening, then email us in, let us know.
I'm sure they are, yeah. It's Microsoft now, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
We got acquired, didn't they?
So back to Mengele. So I remember his name now. For decades, Mengele evaded justice despite being one of the most wanted war criminals. He died in 1979, drowning in Brazil.
Fucking good.
Yeah,
good.
Drowned. Suffered a stroke while swimming and drowned.
Yeah, I was hoping sort of shark attack.
No, he just kept swimming in a circle, couldn't get back to the edge of the pool, I think.
That's good.
I
like a happy ending.
Yeah, but his body was not conclusively identified until 1985, leaving his victims and their families robbed of the justice they deserved. Mengele never expressed remorse for his actions, and he lived out his days without facing trial for the unimaginable horrors he inflicted.
Yeah, that's true. I suppose it wasn't true justice. Yeah. I mean, it's a pretty horrible death, but I mean, when was he born? Do you remember?
It was 1911, I'm sure.
11.
Go back to my paperwork. 1911 and 79, 78. So he's 68, so I mean, he got
it's not great. I suppose that era, it's not bad, is it?
Got a good innings for someone that probably should have been executed many years before that.
Yeah. Got away with one there.
He should have been vivisected.
Well, he's in hell now, so that's good.
Yeah. But that was the story of Josef Mengele.
I don't know. I had to throw in jokes because it's so depressing.
I know.
And it's not really a jokey subject, is it? But I just can't deal with stuff like this because it's just horrific. I can't even comprehend in my mind what drives people to do this sort of mental shit. Even in war, if the whole, we're on the cusp of World War III by the looks of things.
Yeah.
And even when society does break down and everything goes to shit, I'm still going to be me. I'm still going to go, well, that's right and that's wrong.
Yeah.
It's not. There's not going to be a switch in my brain that goes, you know what? Now there's a war. I'm going to start cutting people up and gluing people together and stuff. That's normal.
I read more on this, and they basically said that Auschwitz was just, it was like they'd industrialized killing people, even to the point where they worked out that one bullet could get through 6 babies. So they would line 6 babies up in a row and shoot in the side of the head of one of them, so the bullet would go all the way through. So they weren't wasting bullets. When they discovered these crystals that basically put out the cyanide gas, and they were like, we could actually put these in a room and they create cyanide and everyone would breathe it in and be dead. And they had Soviet prisoners of war that they already had in this room, and they were like, just seal up the windows and chuck some of these crystals in, see what happens. And they all died. And they were like, "Ooh, this is good."
We thought that would happen anyway. That's good.
Yeah, and it was like
it proves our point.
Yeah, I mean, like war, when you know that the British and the Germans, the Americans, they would think, oh, we could take him as a prisoner of war, but I can't be arsed, so we'll just shoot him. So there were deaths that were unnecessary in the war, not just in fighting. Cruel things done. But this was different. This was like an industrial level extermination.
Yeah, well, we all know about it.
We all know about it, but to think that
millions and millions of people, it's just
this guy was at the front of it, and he was going, "Yeah, you, off you go. Yeah, you, and you're all right. No, you." Like,
I don't know how you could live with yourself after stuff like that, know.
And it's like you think, well, Hitler ordered this thing, and Himmler, they were like, "Yeah, we should exterminate all these people," but they almost quite weren't as bad because they weren't on the floor doing it. This guy's actually the guy that's on the floor going, "Yeah, off you go, off you go." It's easy to do something when you're sitting somewhere else, not witnessing it all. This guy was the guy that was pressing the button, pushing them in, off you go. Yeah. And that's, what a sick bastard. Always smiling. So, James, that's the story of Josef Mengele. That's been my leader of people, not a very inspirational guy.
Well, I would say thanks, but I'm like, again, distraught. You need to sort of like chill out on these, I think. It's really like putting me in a bad mood.
King Farouk was funny.
Yeah, that was better. Well, that's the sort of stuff we want. Not to say it wasn't good. Thanks for your efforts and your research. No, it is interesting. It's just really, really sad. It just it's horrible. Right then, so we are coming to the end of the episode. Now you are doing your thing very soon, aren't you?
I'm doing my thing, but by the time the listeners listen to this, I'll have done my thing.
Oh, right, but they'll still be able to donate, won't they?
Still be able to donate, yeah. It'll stay open for another week or so after it, I think.
Yeah, and then you're doing like videos and stuff, I guess, while you're there.
Yeah, so it's good that we've actually done this early, because I'll try and get this edited and stuff long before Sunday. So maybe Sunday I'll have enough time to put my videos together from Saturday.
Yeah, that's good. And then they're going to be on what, Facebook and TikTok?
YouTube, TikTok. Yeah. So the zip line of I will have been recorded. I'll have a GoPro on my face as I hit 100 miles an hour in a sleeping bag, zipping down a line. So yeah, you'll be able to see all that. If it's not out by Sunday night, it'll be out soon after that.
Right, so log on to those. It's the most dangerous. If you search for that
podcast,
search for that, you'll see it, and you'll see this dickhead going down a zip wire at 100 miles an hour. Obviously, I can't do it for medical reasons. My doctor told me I can't.
Yeah, it's medical team.
My medical team said I couldn't do it, so it won't be me, unfortunately. But our friend Rich will be there as well.
Yep.
So please have a look at that. Please donate. It's for a really good cause.
Mm-hmm.
And then we need more people to donate and get in contact as well. You know, we're always happy to listen to everyone.
Yeah,
and grateful for the communications.
Yes, and another thing just to remind you is next week will be James's fourth one of our Leaders of People, and then after that we'll be putting more ideas in the hat. So if you've got any ideas to pick out for the next series, let us know.
God, that's gone on quick, hasn't it?
I know, it's good. I like this. Keeps it fresh.
It does indeed. Okay, good night, Fraser. I'm going to have to dash.
Yeah, so I'll let you go and have your pee.
Thank you. Good to see you. Keep me posted on how it all goes. I'm intrigued, and then I will see you. I've got a good week and a half to think of something great.
I know, you've got more time.
Yeah, I'll see you next time then.
See you then. Take care. Cheers, James. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. How do you pronounce his name?
Who's your dude?
Josef Mengele.
You might have to do that Google thing again.
Hang on. Let's get this out.
Mengele.
Josef Mengele.
Mengele.
What's his name? Mengele?
Mengele.
What have I been calling?
I don't think it's Bengali, is it? That's like
I keep forgetting it because I've been calling him this other name all week.
Bengali sounds like a wicked footballer. Mengele.
Mengele. Oh, this is a car crash. I've actually worked on this as well.
You can tell.
Mengele.
Mengele's the footballer. Mengele's the fucking evil dick.
Mengele would inject chemicals directly into the... It is Mengele. Oh, God, at least I've got an extra 2 days to edit this. What's his name again?
It's not Mengele.
Mengele.